We've all made excuses to excuse our actions at one point in our life. Maybe most of the time this happens to us constantly. And in reality, our excuses don't always defend the reason for what we're trying to excuse ourselves from. For instance, I had a personal problem with one of my friends, and we were like in an argument, and we got over the argument, and because she kept saying that it was her fault because she was being stubborn, and that she was being selfish, that she was seeing it through my point of view, and the excuse was kind of true, but it's something that took her a while to see, because that issue had been going on for a year. We were having constant battles with each other, and it took her a while to realize. I realized I tried fixing the situation, it didn't work. So I just let her come to her senses. It didn't happen right away like I hoped, or soon enough like I hoped, but it happened. And although she excused her actions, there shouldn't have been an excuse for it. She should have understood right away, or soon enough. And another thing we do is making excuses. We think that excuses will mean instant forgiveness for issues, because we just assume, I'm giving them a reason for why I'm acting a certain way, so they'll get over the issue. Whether it's small or big, it depends on how you work on the issue. I mean, how the issue started and how it played out. In order for the forgiveness to play out, or understandings to come into consideration from the person. Also, we think that excuses are normal and they're expected. They are expected, but they're not always accepted. For instance, when teachers give assignments, you're expected to turn it in on time with the date they assign. You can come to school one day and be like, oh, I forgot my homework, because the classic, my dog ate my homework, or I forgot it in the car and I got dropped off, so it's not in my car. Those excuses aren't always accepted, because, okay, why would your dog eat your homework, first off? Second off, you could have made sure you had your stuff before you got off the car. So you need to make sure that your excuses are actually true, believable, and relatable, because if you just do something out of the blue that no one's ever done, and it makes it makes no sense at all, how do you expect others to believe you? If it doesn't make sense, what's the reason for it? Excuses don't always make up for your actions. So just take the aftermath of your actions straight up. Don't try to sneak away from it.
All right, Leslie, I know your topic's got something to do with excuses, but I don't know what the quote is, I don't know what your thesis is, and I don't ultimately know where it is you're headed with this particular subject. At the end of the speech, you've got a little bit something more coherent about what you're trying to say. But at the beginning, it just feels like you're wandering around on the subject, trying to find something to talk about. And anytime you catch hold of something that gives you a chance to elaborate a little bit, you do. But I don't know why you're doing that. It just feels like it's, like I said about somebody else's speech earlier, as if there isn't really a plan. It's just whatever idea is in front of me is the idea that I'm going to talk about at this particular moment. And you want to have a plan. You want to know where you're headed and how you're going to get there. And I just am not getting the impression from the content that you have such a plan. There's no preview. I couldn't tell you what the organizational structure were. There are a couple of examples, but those examples sometimes remain very abstract in nature, and I'm not exactly sure how it fits in with the excuse thing. So you're not getting as much out of the examples as you might otherwise, again, if you had a plan. Presentation issues. Your voice is actually pretty good at projecting, and I think you've got good variety in the voice. The uncertainty in your voice is all about pacing and hesitation, getting to the next point. There are some awkward spots here and there, and it doesn't sound as fluid as it should. Your gestures in the first part, there's a lot of finger counting that you're doing while you're talking. It's not really purposeful. It's just like that nervousness is coming out. I got one finger there. Oh, good. My pinky's still there. Oh, guess what? So is that finger. And you do this sort of thing while you're speaking, and it just like, why is she doing that? And the only reason I can think of is it's the anxiety coming out. It's not like I've got 3 ideas that I'm going to talk about, and the first one is this, like the little piggies thing, and here's the first little piggy that I'm talking about. It's just, you're kind of pulling on your fingers, and that looks a little bit odd. There's less of that later in the speech as you get a little bit more animated, but in the first part, that's definitely going on. Your facial expressions look pretty animated. You have a tendency to look down while you're thinking of what it is you're going to say, and although you do look up pretty regularly, it's not as regular as you would want it to be. I think you need to be a little bit more engaged with the audience. You're back pretty far. Again, I think there's an opportunity to kind of engage the audience and feel more engaged by stepping up a little bit. You do have an exit line, but it doesn't sound much like an exit line. In fact, I think everybody was kind of surprised, even though it's, if you're paying attention to what you're saying, I can tell that you're done. It's not delivered as if you're done, and you need those nonverbal cues to go along with it. All right, thank you.